So next, connecting devices are bridges and switches which operate on data link layer, and they are very much similar in terms of functionality to the repeaters and hub. Bridge actually acts as a gatekeeper which allows only necessary traffic or frames to get inside the network, and it stops the unnecessary data or any data which may uh, destroy the existing data on your network. And this bridge, as its name implies, that it used to connect two different endpoints. So in networking, it used to connect different segments of the LAN. A bridge can have 4 to 48 input lines, and each line is responsible, or you can say each line is having its own collision domain. So CSMA CD was not required. CSMA CD algorithm is required usually to handle the collision, and carrier sensing is provided in CSMA CD, but because each point in the bridge was responsible for its own collision handling technique, so CSMA CD was eliminated in the bridges. So whenever any frame arrives, the bridge extracts its destination address and then it checks for that particular address into its own table. And this address is a 48-bit Ethernet address. After looking into the table, it ensures that the destination computer exists in that particular network, which is connected by using this bridge. So only then it forwards the packet or frame, you can say. So, besides collision domain, there are more dissimilarities between hub and bridges, or you can say there are advantages of bridges, like it controls the traffic by checking the source and destination address and forwards only the network specific traffic. So unnecessary data or redundant data are eliminated or handled by the bridge itself. And bridge also check the errors and drop the traffic if there is any corrupted or misaligned or redundant data. Bridge also help preventing collisions, and they create their own separate collision domain. So this is also one of the advantage of bridges over hub. Most bridges, they learn and store Ethernet address by building up the table of addresses with the information from the traffic passing through them. So whatever data came inside the network and to which destination it is intended to be sent, and what are the number of computers in between these two endpoints, all this information is handled by the bridge itself, and it handles that information with the help of its own table of addresses. The bridge only outputs the frame on the port number where it is needed, so it sends the data on ports. Basically, ports are the software part, or you can say it is a number on through which we implement the software functionality of our devices. Bridge also offer better performance than hubs, and the isolation between the bridge ports also means that the input lines may run at the different speed possibly, even with the different networks. So a common example you can consider that 10, 100 and 1000 Mbps Ethernet, whenever packets or frames comes up to this speed, so bridge also handles large speed among the different type of networks. So it ensures the better performance than hub in terms of handling large speed frames coming inside the network. Buffer within the bridge is needed to accept the frame on one port and transmit the frame out on the different ports. So if the frame comes in faster than they can be retransmitted, the bridge may run out of buffer space and may have start discarding the frame. So take an example of the gigabit Ethernet, which is pouring bits into the 10 Mbps Ethernet at the top speed, and the bridge also have to buffer them. But if the frames comes in at more faster pace, then it has to discard the frames. Obviously the big size frames must be discarded for some other reasons also, like to handle the error checking and for controlling the network. Large frames should be discarded. Bridge was originally, they were intended to be able to join different kind of LAN, traditional LANs, and like your Ethernet and token ring LANs. So the section which is starting from this part, this section is telling you how the LANs differ with each other. In what terms, LANs differ from each other. So the LAN differ from each other in terms of frame length. Different LAN can have their own specified format of frames, and the quality of the service and the security they are providing. So these three are the things in terms. These three are the things in which the LANs differ from each other, and when we are using bridges to handle such different type of LANs, then bridge should also take care of the problem like maximum bigger size of the frame length and the security and the quality of service. So it becomes the responsibility of bridges to handle these dissimilarities or different LANs. So besides the bridges, we have switches also. You can say that these are the modern bridges. Switches are the actually are the element or are the equipments which we use in our daily life. Like if we want to turn on the fan, then we need to switch on the fan. So we are switching the control from we are switching the signal from the switchboard to the fan. So in general terms also we use switches. So switches has replaced hub to some extent, and this is, you can say, a multi-port bridge. It acts as a multi-port bridge with a buffer and a design that can boost its efficiency and performance. A switch can perform error checking also like bridges before forwarding the data, and that makes it very efficient, and it does not forward the packets that have errors. Okay, so error checking is done by the switches at their own. Bridges were developed when the classic Ethernet was in use, so they tend to be joined relatively few LANs and thus have relatively few ports. So the term switch is more popular nowadays. So bridges were used earlier in earlier days, and the switches are the modern techniques which we are using to connect various networks. And the modern installation all use point-to-point links such as twisted pair cables. So individual computers plug directly into the switch, and thus the switch will tend to be to have many ports also. So with a bridge, the functionality is clear, and switch also they may refer to the Ethernet switch also, and they are completely different kind of devices that make forwarding decisions, such as telephone switches. Okay, there are two variations or in terms of techniques in switches: cut through and store and forward. Cut through switches basically use an algorithm which reads the destination address from the frame header and only then forward the frame to the switch port attached to the destination MAC address. So it resolves it looks for the port number, or first of all it looks for the destination address, and then it examines the port number to which it should send. So this is very fast because once the header information is read, the rest of the frame is transmitted without the inspection. So cut through directly sends the data when the switch have the destination address into it. Store and forward technique is little different from the cut through. It is like a bridge which holds the frame until the whole packet is inspected, and this type of switch makes sure that the frame is fit to travel before transmitting. And fortunately the store and forward switches are nearly fast as the cut through switches, and so the extra work does not require significant additional time. So store and forward switches are best switches, or in terms of technology of the switches. Routers are the next interconnecting devices which work on network layer, and they work very much similar to the bridges and the switches, and they also filter out the unnecessary traffic, unnecessarily coming traffic, but they also concentrate on the data, that it should be error free, and there should be no misfit bit, and the routers works on the network layer of the OSI reference model and the TCP/IP reference model. They also filter the network traffic by dividing the network logically into sub-networks, and that's why, see, this point is very important. Logically divides the network into sub-networks. So that's the reason these studies IP subnetting inside the network layer. So it is all responsibility of the network layer. So that's why routers are provided there, and they forward only that data which is destined to the IP addresses on those individual subnets. Okay, so if it is handling subnets also, so it also provides the internal or external router to handle such transmission between the subnets of the big network. By this also act as the firewall, so it can prevent unwanted packet from entering inside the network, and they provide additional level of security. Obviously, they maintain a routing table in which they keeps all the information regarding what has been transmitted earlier and what we are doing right now, what data is we are transmitting right now, and to which destination we are transmitting it. So using a network protocol like TCP/IP, router can intelligently move data from one network to another. For example, when any user sends a request for a server, the router in the local network that will check its routing table and decides where to send that data. So a router needs to have a better understanding of the whole network, because and router does this with the help of routing table. So it maintains or it keeps the information about the whole network structure. Okay, so a long distance phone call uses a router like devices, and the initial 1 plus area code that tells that plus code that we have in our phone numbers, that tells the call is not local but needs to be routed to a distant phone networks, and the phone router then connects the call to the correct distant phone network. So plus sign in our phone numbers that defines that whether the call is coming from the India itself or outside the India. So you can consider the example of that phone number, that phone networks. The last connecting device is gateways, and gateway works on the two topmost layer of your TCP/IP reference model. One is transport layer and the application layer. What is the functionality of transport layer gateways? They connect to computers that use different connection oriented transport protocols. For example, we have a node which is using connection oriented TCP/IP protocol. It wants to send the data to other system which is again having a connection oriented transport protocol, so which is known as SCTP. So the transport gateway can copy the packet from one connection to another and reformatting them as need be. So finally, on the application gateway that understands the format and contents of the data, and then translate the message from one format to another. So an email gateway, you can consider the example of email gateway that could translate the internet messages into SMS messages for mobile phones. So like switch gateway is somewhat of the general term. So it refers to the forwarding process that runs at a high layer. So gateway is the final endpoint through which you go out or come inside into a network. Okay, so these were the LAN interconnecting devices. Next we move on the token passing networks. So the traditional LANs which are known with the standard IEEE 802.3. So Ethernet, these networks are called Ethernet, and they were quite inexpensive and very popular at that particular amount of time, but they also suffered from the difficulty to handle large delays. Okay, they were not capable enough to handle the delays in the network and on time delivery. So poor performance was there, and under the heavy load, because obviously as the load increased, the performance of Ethernet decreased. So for such applications where the excess delay needs to be sought out, the protocols like token passing was used, and this was the best protocol to work with the heavy load of the data. The physical topology of the network can either be bus or ring, also token passing. The small message called a token. See what its name implies, that token passing, wherein we will be having a small message which is known as a token, which usually is of 3 bytes, which travels through the network and goes to each computer. And if any computer wants to transmit the data, then it has to acquire that token, and then along with that token it sends the data towards the destination. Destination receives the data plus token. It extracts the data from the token and circulates the token again into the network. So this is the whole concept of the token passing. Okay, so and the token moves in the round robin fashion, obviously, and the token passing networks can be implemented using either bus topology or ring topology. So in token ring, usually the proper network is there, which is token ring, and token passing is the technique on which these networks are working. So in ring topology, we have a centralized computer or a server or a main system, you can say. Sorry, that is in the star topology, but in ring topology we have all the computers connected in a circular fashion, forming a ring. The connection the connection is originated from one computer and ends on the same computer, so it makes a loop. So token ring forms such arrangement of the computers, and the principle of using token ring network is that the token circulates in the ring, and whenever any node grabs that token, it has the right to send the data first. So token, yes, it is of 3 byte token. Since the token rotates in the ring, it is guaranteed that every node gets the token within some specified time. So there is no upper bound on the time of waiting to grab the token. So every computer will wait equally to have that token, so that the starvation will be avoided. And there is no upper limit of 250 on the number of nodes in the network. There is an upper limit is there. You cannot add the nodes up to more than 250 nodes. And to distinguish the normal data packets from a token, a special sequence is assigned to the token packet. So when any node gets the token, it first sends the data it wants to send and then recirculates the token again on the network. So this is the format of a token basically. This is your destination address, this is your source address, this is the data, and these 3 fields refers to a token, which stands for SD stands for start delimiter, AC stands for access control, and frame, and FC stands for frame control. So all these 3 fields are used to handle the all the control information. It defines the start delimiter. Here we have end delimiter. Access control defines the priority of your data, and frame control defines the frame type, what type of frame we are attaching to the token. So token ring networks are specified with the standard IEEE 802.5, which is a communication protocol in the local area network, where all these networks are connected in the ring fashion. So how this mechanism in the token ring works: if a station, we have explained this or we have discussed that in earlier also, like the blue portion here, the small blue on the circular line, you can see on the circle, you can see this defines the token, and it starts circulating from this point to the various computers a ring have. Okay, so whenever a computer, suppose computer 3 wants to send data to some to this 6 computer, so it is circulating, it comes here and then it goes to this computer number 3. So it will acquire the token, it will attach the token header with the data, with its own data, and then it circulates the the token. Then as token reaches onto the computer number 6, it sees the destination address, that yes, the destination address matches to its own address. Then it extracts the data from the token and then circulates the token on the ring again. So every computer gets equal amount of or every computer has to wait for equal amount of time to get or to acquire the token. Okay, so this was the mechanism how the token passing technique work in the token ring. So next one is token bus, which is the standard 802.4, and this standard is used for implementing token ring over the virtual rings in the LANs. So ring will be made there, but the arrangement of your computers will be in form of LAN. Okay, so the virtual ring is created with the nodes and the station, and the token is passed from one node to the next in the sequence along with the virtual ring. Each node knows the address of the preceding station and its succeeding station also. With the help of router, it maintains all the routing information, and in that table, routing table, it has all the information of its succeeding and the preceding stations also. Okay, so thus any station can only transmit the data when it has token, and if it doesn't have token, it cannot send the data. So in token bus arrangement, it looks like in this figure. This is the bus arrangement. We have this arrangement via coaxial cable, and these are the stations. These are the square boxes, as you can see. So these are the numbers which are showing the, you can consider them the addresses of these systems. So if any these rings or the token circulates in this fashion, obviously because the token passing we are implementing into a bus arrangement, so token will pass in a circular fashion, starting from one and then next to this and then next to this, like this. Okay, it has to reach one first of all, and then whatever nodes you have arranged in a sequence fashion, so it will move in a circular fashion. Token will move in a circular fashion. So this was the token bus. Other than this, the functionality like any node, for what amount of time node has to wait for the token, all the nodes will wait for the equal amount of time. In some networks, we also have the backend ring also. Such networks are known as FDDI, which we will study in the further videos. So the FDDI implement the two rings, but here in token passing we have only one ring. So how the token ring and token bus are different? Token ring is passed over the physical ring formed by the station and the coaxial cable network, and token is in bus arrangement, token is passed along with the virtual ring of the stations connected to a LAN. Here exists a physical ring, here exists a virtual ring. In token ring, all these stations are connected by the ring topology, and in bus, obviously they are connected with the tree or bus topology. It has the standard 802.5, and the token bus have the standard 802.3, whereas 802.3 is the standard Ethernet standard. The maximum time for the token to reach to a station can be calculated here, and in bus arrangement it is not feasible to calculate the time for the token to be transferred from one computer to another computer, though it will circulate in its own speed, but in what amount of time the token reaches from 1 to 2, it is difficult to predict or to calculate. So as we know that data link layer contains the devices switches, so there are two variations of switches, layer 2 and layer 3. We have layer 2 switches as well as layer 3 switches, and the basic functionality of switch doesn't change here. A switch is a device which sends the data packet into a local network, and a hub floods out the network with the packets, and only the destination system receives the packet while the other just drop, due to which the network increases a lot. Network traffic increases a lot, but a switch first learns it learns that where I should send the data, and by flooding the network, just like hub to fill a MAC address table, it floods out its own MAC address table with the destination address instead of directly sending the data to the computers, and after learning it sends the packet to the particular host only. So switch follows a table first of all, rather than hub floods out the network by sending the network traffic immediately as it receives the data signal. So as you can see in the diagram, this is the switch, these are the multi points, these are the computers. How it is getting the data, it maintains its own table wherein it is having all the addresses maintained, MAC addresses maintained, so physical addresses will be there. So it will become easily to determine to which computer, whether it is D, B or C, my incoming packet frame should be sent. So whereas if we have hub here instead of switches, hub have one separate point, or you can say point to point connection with every computer. So it just floods out or it sends the data on all the points immediately. But switch only sends packet to the destination only. Okay, so the difference between layer 2 and layer 3 switches, layer 2 is data link layer, and our network layer is also contains a switch which is the layer 3. So they one difference becomes that layer 2 operates on data link layer, layer 3 operates on OSI or network layer of the OSI. Layer 2 switches send packet to the destination on the basis of MAC addresses, and layer 3 switches layer 3 switch sends the packets on the basis of the IP addresses. So layer 3 or the network layer considers the IP address to determine the destination, or data link layer considers the MAC address to determine the destination. Okay, so layer 2 switch works fine with MAC address only, whereas layer 3 switch can perform functioning of both layer 2 and layer 3, because this is the layer which is above the data link layer. So the packet comes in to the frame, so frame or the data link layer need to handle the data from network layer. So it can perform network layer can perform both the functionalities of layer 2 as well as layer switches. Okay, layer 2 switches are used to reduce traffic on the local network. So these are the actual switches, and whereas the layer 3 switches, they are used to implement virtual LANs basically. So for mostly they are used for virtual LANs. Layer 2 switches, they are quite fast, as they do not look at the layer 3 portion of the data packets, and layer 3 switch, they take time to examine the data packets from sending them to the destination further. And layer 2 switches have single broadcast domain, whereas layer 3 switch can afford multiple broadcast domain. So layer 2 can communicate within a network only, and whereas layer 3 switch can communicate within or outside the network. So as you know that computer network, this subject is more theoretical rather than the programming and the other software part. So we have to study software as well as hardware also. So this topic, layer 2 and layer 3 switches, LAN interconnecting devices, and and the topologies, they all are associated with the hardware also only. So you have to focus on the content which I have written here, and you should read and understand these contents. So if we talk about traffic, so layer 2 are the main switches. They help to reduce the traffic onto the local area network, and layer 3 layer 3 switches are implemented usually for virtual LANs. So this was all about your LAN interconnecting devices and switches and bridges, routers and hubs. Okay, so thanks for today. Hello dear students, my name is Ankita, and I am teaching as an assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurugram. I welcome all of you to the online lecture series of computer networks, which is a subject in BTech Computer Science. And in this today's video, we are going to learn about various LAN interconnecting devices like hub, repeaters, switch, bridges, routers, gateways. Besides that, we will also see how token passing network works under different topologies like token ring and bus topologies. We will see how layer 2 and layer 3 switching are different with each other. So let us begin with the LAN interconnecting devices. So a TCP/IP reference model contains total 5 layers, and every layer is defined with a set of rules or set of functions, that how it should handle the data and how it should convert that data into its own format and then pass it to the next layer above it. So every layer contains a proper set of services and the functions and the protocols. So besides this software configuration in between these layers, some hardware mechanism is also required to handle that data and help the layers to pass that data to the layer above it. So here you can see in the diagram, we have first layer, physical layer, then data link layer, then network layer, then transport layer, then application layer. The topmost layer is the application layer. So these are the 5 layers of your TCP/IP reference model. Okay, so at physical layer, we will start from the physical layer, which is very first layer of the reference module. It contains devices like repeaters and hubs. Because this layer is responsible for handling all the configuration or all the mechanical specification of your medium, that is cables which you are going to use to connect to different LANs or the networks. So every layer has a different set of devices, such devices, and all devices use different piece of information to decide how to switch the between various operations, or how to switch the data from one layer to another. So in general scenario, what happens in the TCP/IP reference model, the data is passed to the transport layer from application layer. The topmost layer is application layer, so data is generated at the application layer, which we want to send to the destination. So the data is first of all given to the transport layer, which adds its own header into it and passes the resulting unit to the network layer, which is the layer next to it. The network layer adds its own header, which forms a network layer packet. So that unit is known as packet now. And here at the transport layer, we can say that unit is known as segments. So the network layer adds its own header, and then it is known as packet, and then it passes it to the next layer. So in this diagram, in this format, the shaded portion, you can see the packet header, TCP header, and the first one was your frame header. So these are the different headers which are added by the different layers. Like user data was generated from this application layer, and then it went to the transport layer. Transport layer added its own header into it. Then it went to the network layer. The packet header was added there. Then it will go to the data link layer, which will handle that unit as a frame. So then packet goes to the data link layer, which adds its own header and the checksum, and which gives the resulting frame to the physical layer, and then physical layer transmits data onto the medium for the transmission. Medium can be anything, whatever you are using, whether it is wired or wireless. So this was the case of general LAN, how these layers works in the LAN scenario. And this is the another diagram with the help of which you can see how these devices are arranged at different levels of the layers in TCP/IP reference model. The very first device, which you can say, the hub is of two types, active hub and passive hub. So passive hub acts as just a connector. So it is only a connector which connects two different segments, or the LANs or the networks. Then the active hub works, then repeaters, then bridge, then switches, then routers, and then at the end gateway. So this is the complete diagram which you can refer to draw in your final examination as well, to explain LAN interconnecting devices. So we will see the various points regarding repeaters and the hub. Repeaters are the bottom layer devices, and they are placed on the physical layer. And actually the repeaters are some analog devices which are used to amplify or regenerate the signal, which got attenuated after few distances after traveling. So repeater helps to connect two segments, and yes, these are the analog devices, and they are also known as signal boosters, because when any electrical signal is transmitted via a channel or medium, they get attenuated depending upon the nature of the channel. And because the signal has to travel the long distances, so after few kilometers it may get, or after few meters it may get faded out. So to regenerate that particular system on different intervals of distance, repeaters must be deployed. So this puts a limitation upon the length of the LAN or the coverage area of the cellular network. So this problem is alleviated by installing the repeaters at the certain levels, certain intervals. So if we have very large network like cellular network, so at some distances we should deploy the different repeaters also. So the strength of the signal remains same when it reaches to the destination. Okay, so digital repeaters can even reconstruct the signal also, so which was distorted during the transmission, and the loss of signal may be due to any reason, like environmental reasons may be there. So digital repeaters, we will see there are different type of repeaters also. Digital repeaters, they can regenerate the signals, and whereas normal repeaters, they amplify the attenuated signal and then retransmits that signal to help that signal to reach out to the destination. According to the types of signal, repeaters are of two types: analog signal and the analog signals and the digital signals. Analog amplified the analog signal. Digital repeaters, they reconstruct a distorted signal. Okay, so on the basis of networks, the repeaters can be wired or wireless as well, and on the basis of domain of LAN, the repeaters can be local repeaters and remote repeaters. So the local repeaters, they connect LAN segments separated by the small distances, so they cover small distances, and remote repeaters help to connect the large segments of the LAN which are very far from each other. Okay, so next we have some features of repeaters, like a signal appearing on one cable that is cleaned up and amplified and put on the another cable. Repeaters do not understand frame or the packets or any other data unit, but they understand only the sequence of bits and the signals in volts. So the earlier or the traditional Ethernet was designed to allow 4 repeaters that would boost the signal to extend the maximum cable length up to 500 meters to 2500 meters. So in classical signals Ethernet, we had repeaters at that time. So most of those repeaters were analog in nature. So this is the place or the position the repeaters used to happen between two different devices or the nodes. Normal repeater can look like this device. This is basically a GSM frequency shift repeater. So besides repeater, on physical layer there are hubs also. Hub is a multi-point device and which have multiple input lines which passes the signal electrically, and the frames which are arriving on any of the lines, they are sent out to the other end of the wire or end of another end of the cable, through which you are connecting that hub and the computer system. And if two frames arrive at the same, obviously there will be collision also, and all the lines coming into the hub must operate at the same speed because all are doing the same job, so the same speed they should offer. And hubs are divided into two categories. First one is passive and then second one is active. Passive hubs are just connectors. They act as the connectors only. They connect the wires coming from the different branches, and these hubs relay the signals onto the network without cleaning and boosting them. So the main difference between a passive hub and active hub is that passive hub do not clean or boost the data, they just connect to endpoints through some wire or cable. And the active hub also clean up, boost and relay the signal along with the network. So it serves both as the repeater as well as the wiring center. So they are used to extend the maximum distance between the nodes. A normal hub looks like this device also. Okay, earlier in the time when we used to have broadband in our homes, or there was a device like that device was used to connect only one computer to the main server. But in many organizational or many institutes also, we can see hub, multi-point hub also. So with the help of which we can connect number of computers, so we can make the signal travel to different computers at the same time, same speed. Okay, so difference between hub and repeater occurs also, like hubs differ from repeaters in the way that they do not amplify. Hubs do not amplify the incoming signals, and they are designed for the multiple input lines, but the differences are very slight, like similarities. If we talk about similarities, like repeaters have the physical device layer, they both reside on the, or they both work on physical layer, and that do not examine the link layer in any link layer addresses or use them in any way. So they both of these devices either understand only understand signals instead of any frame, packet, or any other device. So the data travels in the form of signals in both hubs and repeats.